you know what's gonna happen. Like, it's inevitable to not feel sad. And welcome back to my channel. My name is Blanca and today we are going to be reviewing Selena the Netflix series part 2, the most anticipated part of this entire Netflix series, just because we get to see Selena as a superstar trying to balance her singing career with that of her love life, her family, trying to be an entrepreneur by opening up boutiques in Texas. So we get to see Selena be multifaceted in this second half, and I will admit that this second half was just a little bit better than the first, because unlike the first half where it was solely based on AB, Suzette, Abraham, the second half of the series was solely on Selena. She wasn't just a background character like she was in the first series. In doing so, however, I felt like the series kind of dropped the ball, or the storylines with a lot of these characters. The mom just completely became a wallpaper, just a background character. Really didn't give much other than, oh, I'm missing Selena. I really can't see her. She's always busy. She can't make it for lunch. I'm really upset about that. But other than that, there wasn't really much of a substance with Marcela's character. And then you have AB, which in the first half we got to see him start his own family, get married and all of that, but you don't see the continuation of that story within the second half. You kind of see little snippets here and there of his wife at the time struggling with his career, him not being home, always traveling, but you don't really get the dialogue between the two characters of what's causing a lot of rift within their marriage. You just kind of have to like pick up the nuances of both of these characters, which is something that is going to be a pattern in the entire series, and I'll keep explaining as to what I mean with that.
Editing Blanca. Something that I just realized as I was rewatching this series. After like episode 4 of Fight, where the hell does Pete Astudillo go? Like, he just falls off of the face of the planet. We don't hear from him ever. And he was really close friends with Selena. Just falls off. Nowhere to be seen. Gone. The two backup singers, Don Shelton and Freddy Correa, I have to say, they were spot on, especially Freddy Correa, the actor that plays him, spot on identical to the actual person, Freddy Correa. And he was also part of the group, I don't know if anybody's gonna remember this, but the Barrio Boys, like that song that they had with Selena, I'm surprised that they didn't incorporate the Barrio Boys in there, Alvaro Torres, or any other acts that Selena had music with. Like, what happened?
Part 2 picks off where part 1 ended, and that is where Chris just gets kicked off the band. He is left at a gas station with a little bit of money, and you just see Selena going on stage and just, you know, having that part of her life being fulfilled. But then you see her crying in a changing room, or dressing room I should say, because she just feels lonely. She is going to go on this tour for like 4 months, and she's not going to be able to see Chris, which is a part of her life that is lacking. She's not having a love life. And you can see that Selena is the breadwinner within her family. Everybody depends on her to be successful. And there's one part within this series where she's talking to Chris and she ends up saying, what if everything stops? And so you really get to feel the magnitude of what kind of weight she was dealing on her shoulders, that she had to provide or be successful in order for a lot of people to have money or an income, to say it like that. What really annoyed me, and you kind of saw it, you know, throughout the first half and in the first couple of episodes of the second part, was just her family imposing their wishes and their opinions upon Selena, specifically when it came to Chris. Everybody in her family was able to have their own life, their own love life, and nobody was telling them what to do. AB was able to start his own family, Suzette was able to date, but Selena specifically was not able to do that. For some reason, she just could not date other people, couldn't date Chris, and she just had to just be happy with being the singer of Selena y los Dinos. There are several scenes between Selena and Suzette. They're just talking in private, and Selena's telling her sister that she really loves Chris, that she misses him, and Suzette just doesn't understand why Selena can't be happy with just being in the band, singing, that their dreams are coming true, that they're becoming extremely successful and that everybody is getting to know who she is. She just can't understand why Selena is just harping on Chris and why she's always sad. Or there was a scene where Suzette tells Selena, but I thought you were getting over him. And she's like, I'm faking it. She's like, I'm faking being happy. And if her own sister couldn't tell that she was faking this entire time, that she was okay or that she was getting over Chris, that just really tells the magnitude of their relationship. Because there's another scene within the series that Suzette feels betrayed that Selena went off, got married in secrecy, and didn't tell her that she was planning on doing this, or the fact that she didn't follow through with their plans of being in each other's weddings and planning it together. But in a way, Selena already knew how her sister felt and how she was going to react. So how could Selena go to her sister and tell her, hey, I'm planning on getting married to Chris in secrecy and I want you to be there with me, when she knew that she wasn't really keen on the idea? In the second part, we do kind of see more of Chris and Selena's relationship a little bit more so, just coming off of the tour, being married, and then just settling now in their married life and how that dynamic works as opposed to just being on the road constantly and then sneaking around to see each other. So you kind of see a little bit of like arguments sort of say, or how they deal with certain things. And it was really cool to kind of see that aspect of their relationship because we didn't get a lot in the first half at all. We also see how she was trying to balance her married life, her singing career, and then trying to open up the boutiques, and how, Chris and her dad were really not on board with her opening up the boutiques because it was too much for her at a certain point. And she herself, somewhere in the series, does admit that it was getting to be a lot, so she needed a lot more people, and that's obviously where we have Yolanda come in, taking care of certain things that were in regards to the boutique so that Selena could focus on other things that needed her attention. Something that I had no clue about was the background story of the song No Me Queda Más. This song was written by Ricky Vela, and if you pick up on the nuances of the scene and how the characters are kind of like interacting with each other, that is where you get the background story of this song. Ricky wrote this song, or you get the hint that he wrote this song because he was in love with Suzette. So it was an unrequited love that he had for her. And you wouldn't have picked up on that if you weren't, like I said, picking up on the nuances and then the interaction of the characters, because there was no dialogue whatsoever. So if you're the type of person that can't pick up on these things, the whole background story to this song is gonna fly over your head. Quite honestly, that scene was just so beautiful because it's Selena singing in the recording studio. You have AB there, you have Ricky, and he's listening to the song while Selena is singing it, and in comes Suzette, and she's listening to the song. She puts her hand on Ricky's shoulder and tells him something to the effect of, I didn't know you had it in you. This is such a beautiful song. And you see him shed a tear. And it was so sad. And you see Selena picking up on that interaction between the two. And that kind of fueled her to like sing the song with more of like sadness and more of an emotion. I don't know. I just feel like they should have explained the background story a little bit more to this song instead of just kind of having it where you guess it, if that makes any sense. A cool thing that the series did was they had guest appearances by a lot of famous singers. One of them being Veronica Castro. She is a big Mexican actress. She was huge like in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s. She even had her own talk show host. She is the mother of Cristian Castro, who is also another famous singer. And Selena went on her show, and Veronica kind of picked up on the fact that there was something between her and Chris. She kind of asked her if she was seeing anybody, but Selena had to lie essentially that she was married to Chris at the time because her dad was saying, you have to think about your image. Your image is about being this single girl who is very attractive, sexy, and nobody's gonna really come to your concerts or to see you if they know that you're married. Which there's a scene where she comes out and says that, oh, Chris is my husband, because she introduces everybody in the band, and then when she gets to Chris, she introduces him as such, and the fans start booing at him. It's like, I could not understand the type of entitlement that certain fans that Selena had, where they felt the need to boo her husband and boo her essentially. Like, where do people come off in doing that? But she was able to manage in that scene to kind of turn it around and make it, so that it was all good and dandy. But it's like, come on, like, people should not have to make you feel comfortable or have this false image that they're available or single just so that you can go and see them. If you like a person or an artist, you like them for their artistry, for their music, or for what they do, not because they're single and available.
Selena was all about her fans. She adored and loved them. But the fact that some felt really entitled, like I said, to boo Chris when she introduced him as her husband, and then to the point of coming into her home without permission, without just the fact that they thought that that was okay to do and ask for a picture with her, I just thought it was completely wrong and messed up.
Other celebrity appearances that we saw in there was Luis Miguel and Gloria Estefan at the Grammys. When they actually panned to Luis Miguel's character, I was like, that is supposed to be Luis Miguel, but why didn't they put Diego Boneta in there? Like, that would have been cool to see Diego Boneta make a cameo appearance in there, but I guess for whatever reason, Netflix didn't think that would be a cool thing to do. They also had a scene where you see a young Beyonce Knowles who runs into Selena at a shopping center, and she's like, oh my God. Her mom asks her who she is, and like, that's Selena. She's a famous singer. And it's really cool to see that kind of interaction where she says hi to her. So, you know, just in hindsight, if Selena was alive, I wonder how their relationship now would be now that Beyonce is also a famous singer. So it just makes you wonder, and it's a very cool and I don't know, I thought it was an emotional scene. As far as performances goes, I don't feel like any of them within the series were powerful or memorable enough. I can vividly remember a lot of performances because they're just that ingrained in my head from the movie, where I'm just like, okay, that was an amazing performance. That was awesome. Like, we're talking about Selena here, and Selena is a showstopper. She's an entertainer. She is a performer. And I just didn't get that from these performances. Now we're starting to get more into Yolanda. We didn't really get a lot of background story to her, and rightfully so. I could imagine that the family did not want to give her too much of a highlight or too much of a story, just because she is the assassin of their wife, daughter, and sister. So of course they don't want to put too much light on her. But I wish that they kind of developed the friendship between Selena and Yolanda a bit better within this series, because unlike it, in the movie, they really show the development of friendship between her and Yolanda. You see Selena taking her to get pedicures together. You see them going out to eat. You see them going out and buying outfits together. So you see that development of a friendship picking up, and then you can see, okay, like, she was really intimate with her, and that is why she was able to manage her boutiques. That's why Selena didn't really question her and a lot of things. In the series, you just see them meet, and then they're automatically friends. So if you're not picking up on those nuances, or if you're coming in as a new viewer and not knowing the history between them two, you're just gonna think like, okay, they just clicked and they became friends, without knowing that a lot of things transpired for her and Selena to become really intimate with each other in that sense. What I loved about this series was the fact that they paid attention to detail, specifically more so towards the end of the series, where it focuses a lot more on her untimely death. In the scene where she goes into the hotel with Yolanda, you get to see the maid and a gardener talking, and they are just talking about their daily lives. But what you don't know, or many viewers don't know, is that gardener is Trinidad Espinosa, and he was actually there when Selena was shot. He was a witness and actually testified at her trial because he saw Selena running from the hotel room and Yolanda running with the gun in her hand. The night before Selena was murdered, there's a scene in the series where she's going through the numbers, trying to figure out what's not making sense, and she figures out and tells Chris that there's documentations that are missing and that she needs to speak to Yolanda. Well, in that scene, she's wearing a black striped shirt. I believe the colors are like black, yellow, and green. Well, that scene is based off of a picture that is supposedly the last known picture of Selena before she was murdered. And in that picture, she is wearing a striped black shirt with the colors of green and yellow. So again, the attention that they gave to all of these little details for the latter part of the series was amazing. And it even went down to the band-aid on her fingertip. Some people would have just bypassed that and not even thought of it, but that was just, like I said, amazing that they incorporated that into the Astrodome scene. Not trying to compare both endings, because I think both were amazing in their own way. The ending for the movie I felt was like more gut-wrenching in a way, just because you get to see the family receiving the news. Oh my god, I think I'm gonna tear up a bit because that scene just always gets to you. They find out that she is dead, and you see everybody crying, everybody just really feeling upset about the whole thing. And the last scene for the series, you just see them going through the motions of them trying to get to the hospital, trying to figure out what's going on, and then they get the news that she has passed away. You see Chris in the bed listening to music, him not knowing actually what has happened or transpired at that point, and then it just skips on to like a month later to where they're all just sitting down listening to, I believe the song is Dreaming of You, and then it skips around again to like a year later. It really didn't give enough time, at least for me, to kind of like see how the whole family went through that moment and dealt with those emotions at the time, whereas within the movie you kind of saw it kind of like transpire a little bit more. So I wish that the ending for that particular scene was more flushed in that sense. But overall, the ending for the series, I really loved it because you see her performing and she's coming off stage, and then Suzette calls her out, takes a picture of her, and she turns around and just does. And I could just picture Selena just waving. So it was really gut-wrenching. Even though you know what's gonna happen, like, it's inevitable to not feel sad because she was just murdered so young and she had so much more to give. She had so much more potential. And you're always left wondering with her, what could have been of her? Where would she be right now? Because she wanted to start her own family. She wanted to have her own kids. She wanted to expand her boutiques more. She just wanted to do a lot of things. And to, just seeing somebody like her, she's just so iconic for so many reasons. She was a woman in a genre that was mainly for men, and being highly and extremely successful within that genre, and then just going and crossing over to doing an English album, which was highly successful as well. To then seeing her trying to be an entrepreneur and opening up businesses and having her family life and kind of doing it all and showing you that, it was really hard to do everything, but that she was able to do it, is just so inspiring. And so you're just always left wondering, what could have been of her, or what would she be doing? Overall, part 2 was better than part 1. I mean, part 1 had the awful wigs, the cheesiness between her and Chris, and everything was just a little bit more cringy. But part 2 still had a lot of its problems, where a lot of the character stories were just dropped by the wayside. The CGI, I thought it was me, but apparently not. Because there's scenes where you see the car, they're driving or whatever, the view from the top looks great, right? Like nothing. And then you see the views on like the side, and it is horrible. So it's like, I don't know where the money for the budget went, but like that CGI was just not it. Then her kind of having like this Texas twang to her, it just really didn't, I don't know, I would say it was a little bit distracting, sort of. For what it was, it was good, but not great for the iconic person that we're talking about. I would highly recommend just watching her performances, her actual performances, her interviews. They're just way better. Even the movies, like I said, even though it's like a lot of people will give flack because comparing the two is like different, right? But I just felt like the movie did the job a little bit better than the series. And this is not to crap on like the actors or anything like that. It's just, had the production and the writing been better, I think that overall the series would have been a lot more better than what it was. But if you're looking for something to just see about Selena and just have a good time and enjoy it, then yeah, I would say go and watch it. That is it for my Netflix review on Selena, the Netflix series. Let me know down in the comment section below what you liked, what you didn't like, what were your favorite scenes. Did the ending get to you like it got to me? I know that anytime I see the ending for either the movie and now for the series, like, it's just so gut-wrenching that inevitably I will always cry no matter what. It's just a very emotional scene. So let me know in the comment section below if you liked it, or if you enjoyed it, or what have you. Just let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.